Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche Podcast, Free Skate Friday. The mock draft day is finally here, but before we jump into the mock draft, we do need to get our opening sponsor, DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one rated sportsbook app out there. Got some fancy NHL bets to go over today. Starting off with an easy one. Well, maybe easy. Under 6.5 defensemen going in the first round. It's a pick 'em. You can go either way. If you like over, take that. But we consensus came together, decided to take the under on that one. Despite our second bet. Our second bet, we're going with Jamie Drysdale going at 2. Now, I don't think the odds on that are very high, but it's plus 2,000. So you put $10 on that, why not? Win yourself a big haul if it does end up happening. You can make the big bucks. Go for it. Try and win yourself some money. We will have a ton more bet coverage for you on our live draft show, too. We'll get the math magician in there, Andre, on it to let you know which picks to take right before the draft. DraftKings Sportsbook is also offering great offers when it comes to other sports as well. NFL, they're continuing to run their offer this week. If you're a new user, bet $1 to win $100 on any NFL team if they win this week. So be sure to jump on that while you still can. If you haven't jumped on it already, of course, and you can always use their amazing odds boosts, everything like that as well. So great options, top to bottom. Again, be sure to download the DraftKings Sportsbook app when you can and use code DNVR when you sign up to get that amazing promo. Must be 21 or older, Colorado only. Profit boost terms and conditions as well as eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. All right. Let's jump into the show. I do want to get into the mock draft real quick, but I have a trivia question for you guys. I tweeted a little bit about it a couple days ago. Since the inception of the NHL Draft, there have been 16 first overall picks to win the Stanley Cup. Only 16. Can you name them?
Oh, come on. You want us to name 16 dudes?
16?
I expect you to be able to name 10 pretty easily, and then I'll tell you the rest.
Sidney Crosby.
Yep.
Go on. In your face.
Yeah. Got me, fella. How far back are we going?
Since the beginning of the NHL Draft, which was 1963, I believe.
Good God. Why is that?
I will tell you, no one from the pre-expansion era won a cup.
Okay. So you got Crosby, Stamkos,
Yep.
Kane,
Yep.
Ovechkin,
Yep.
and Fleury.
That's the 5 most recent.
That should take care of the 2000s.
Yep.
Because Nash, Kovalchuk, DiPietro.
There were 5 between 1979 and 1999.
Patrick Stefan was a no. Vincent Lecavalier was a yes.
Yep. There's a couple super obvious ones left.
You said post-expansion? Like Gretz and Messier and...
Well,
Gretz wasn't drafted.
Yeah.
Right.
So, Mario.
Yep.
Mario. Oh, you're looking at first-round picks, aren't you? I can't even remember what they are.
First overall.
First overall.
Yes.
Mike Modano.
Yep. That's 8. There's 1, maybe 2 other obvious ones that I think you could probably get.
Did
They're a little bit older, though.
Perot ever win one? He did not?
Nope.
Well, and you get drafted by Buffalo. That was the one. Pavan.
Yep.
Did Bobby Smith win one?
No. Yes, he did. Sorry.
Yeah,
That's not one I thought you guys would get. That's 10.
Wow.
There's one more super obvious one. I don't know if you guys will get him, but
What year is it from?
Old. I can't tell you the exact year. I don't have it pulled up, but Canadian.
Oh, from when you say Canadian, you mean Canadian and not like
Correct.
he's a Canadian?
Correct.
Okay.
Montreal.
Montreal.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't even know what a Bobby Smith is. That was such a crazy
that
pull.
was out of left field.
Was Guy Lafleur first overall?
Yep, that's the one.
Boom!
Also, Joe Murphy with the Detroit Red Wings. Rob Ramage.
I was gonna. Who did he win it with though? It wasn't
Calgary.
obviously the Rockies.
It was with
Calgary.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. God.
Rick Green. Rajan Houlet, who won 5 with the Canadiens, by the way.
Only 5.
And
That's
Michel
ridiculous.
Plass are the 16 first overall picks to win a cup. Just to say that only about 30% of first overall picks in NHL history have actually won a Stanley Cup.
Curious how many actually get to the finals, though.
A lot of them get to finals.
Yeah, because it's actually crazy because if you look at the 2000s, basically the entire 2010s, none of those first overalls have ever done anything in the postseason. Like the entire decade, 2010 to 2019, none of them.
Yep, it's pretty rough.
It's wild because like
finals,
there are some great players on that list, but it's like nope.
Well, that's the most
that's
recent one to win it is Stamkos in 08. So
yeah, added himself to that list.
Yep. Kane in 07 was right behind him, but
yeah, and then Crosby 05, Ovechkin, and Fleury in 4 and 3.
In any case, we have a full first round ahead of us, so let's stop beating around the bush. I'm Rudo, as always, AJ Hafley, and Dario Ronzoni back on the pod to break down some draft stuff for you. Bring up the big board here as we're going fancy with today's mock draft. We got the whole situation up. I have the first overall pick, which is already selected because there is zero doubt on DraftKings Alex Lafreniere minus 10,000 to go first overall.
Jesus.
You cannot make any money with that one. Lock it in, lock it up. New York's taking Lafreniere. Easiest pick of your life. The draft actually begins with AJ at 2 for the LA Kings.
So I don't want to be like dramatic about this for the sake of drama, but I have actually spent when did I send you guys the order? Like Monday or Tuesday? And I have spent all week agonizing over what I wanted to do with this pick.
Yeah,
I'm torn between what do I think is going to happen and what would I do. And I decided, you know what? I get to play GM like once a year. F this, I'm doing what I want to do. I'm taking Byfield. He's just too big. It's just too many skills in such a rare package. I am taking the swing on the guy that I think has a chance to just be a truly, truly dominant player in the NHL. I don't know that he gets there, but if there's even a 10% chance that he ends up where he could and lives up to that potential, it's worth it. I'm taking him.
I mean, LA taking the big dude isn't that surprising either.
Like, screw the rest of the system, not thinking about, they took Alex Turcotte last year. Oh, good for them. He can play second fiddle behind Quentin Byfield. Yeah. Byfield's the man.
Yeah, to me, it's this is a lot like the Duchesne draft where the number 1 overall is pretty obvious, and you have 2 and 3, and my pick for Ottawa, I think, is pretty obvious for them, and I think that's Stützle at 3. I haven't seen a guy that can skate through defenses, and the marriage of his feet and his hands. It's like Patrick Kane. He just slices through people. He's just I don't know if he won't have the scoring capability or the shooting capability of a Patrick Kane, but he certainly can skate like a Scott Niedermayer or a Patrick Kane. He can he's like born to skate. He's an incredible skater. So yeah, I think they'll take him at 3 if he's there.
I can't disagree. 1 and 3 are the 2 easiest picks in this draft, I think. At 1, you take Lafreniere. At 3, you take whoever's left of Byfield and Stützle. It's a slam dunk for Ottawa, too, because they have another pick at 5 to do whatever they want with. So
that's tough, though. Like, you got to get that right. Like from Ottawa's perspective, if you screw this up, you'll never have a better chance. 10 top 100 picks, 2 in the top 5. You got to get this right.
Yeah.
And Stützle's not without risk, in my opinion. I mean, there's a chance because of the way, because of his goal scoring numbers aren't fantastic. And in the World Juniors, he didn't score a ton of goals. Matter of fact, I don't know if he scored even one. But yeah, the talent's obvious when you put eyes on him. He can do some things.
He's legit, and this class, I think we'll get into this more later, but in 2 or 3 years, we're going to be saying, oh, the DEL is a super legit developmental league, or we're going to be saying, oops, maybe it's not so hot.
Maybe we'll wait to draft those guys until they've already come over the pond and they've been imported into the CHL.
Exactly. So I have 4 with Detroit. I actually don't think they go defense with this pick because they have Moritz Seider. They need pretty much everything, honestly, but when you have a high-end pick, I think you need to take advantage of it and take a lot of talent. And I actually like Lucas Raymond here. I'm taking him over Cole Perfetti. I think he fits their style quite a bit. He's an extremely intelligent player that you can drop into that lineup and get a lot of value out of. Playing alongside, you know what, we're going to have to see who Detroit decides to move out and who they decide to keep. But I think he can work excellently alongside Dylan Larkin.
Yeah, Raymond's a super safe pick, in my opinion. He can do everything. I don't think there's any risk of him not being in the NHL and being an effective player. He's really good. So what I have the 5th pick, and
AJ doesn't agree.
I've gotten lower and lower on Raymond the more I've gotten into this.
See, I'm the other way. I've gotten higher on Raymond as I've gone. I
definitely think that had Ken Holland still been in Detroit, Raymond would have been my slam dunk pick.
With the Swede feel, yeah.
Yeah, and with Yzerman there, I would actually be surprised if it's Raymond.
Fair enough.
So the obvious pick for Ottawa, I'm the GM. I have all the Ottawa first-round picks somehow. And I know AJ used a randomizer to pick our selection, so I just got lucky, I suppose.
No, I mean, I assigned. We all have the same teams.
Okay. Yeah. I got you. Okay. So Ottawa, the obvious pick is Drysdale, but I'm the GM. I think they never have an and so they have so many picks in the top 100. They'll never have an opportunity like this again, perhaps. I say they take the goaltender right now. They take Askarov. They set up their goaltending. They have a number 1 defender already in Shabbat, and they have a top end forward prospect with Stützle. Stützle, this is what I do. I take the goaltender now. Comparisons to Carey Price and Fleury, they've never seen talent like this before at this level for a long time. They do it now.
The top 5 goalie, man.
It's a huge risk, but they can afford the risk of any team in this draft. They can afford the risk. That's what I do. And I say, AJ just shaking his head.
Just ruined me. You just ruined me.
AJ was gearing up to take him with his next pick.
Yep. I've got New Jersey at 7, and that's exactly what I was going to do. And I was like 90% confident I was going to get there because I know Rudo wasn't going to do it.
No, I'm not doing it.
No way at Anaheim. Yeah.
Son of a gun, you so-and-so.
Do you disagree? Is that a smart move or is that a poor move for Ottawa?
If we were in swapped positions and I was the GM for Ottawa, that's exactly what I would do.
Boom.
So.
All right. I have Anaheim at 6 before we get to AJ at 7. So New Jersey can scramble and make a couple calls here maybe. But Anaheim, I think 100% goes D. They need D in their system. However, I don't think they take Drysdale. I think they go with Sanderson, looking at their draft history, they've taken 7 players out of the USHL in the last 3 years and just 1 out of the OHL. So, granted, the year before in 2016, they took Max Jones out of the OHL, but they've heavily invested in scouting in North America, even picking up a kid in the second round, Jackson Lacombe, out of Minnesota High School. So I think that Sanderson is the pick for Anaheim.
Okay.
AJ's salty about all of our picks right now. He's like super sad he didn't get the goalie, but he's about to slam dunk a Cole Perfetti pick right now.
Pretty much. Look, I'm New Jersey. I need defense. I'm dying for defense in my system. I don't have it, but you know what I do have? I got 3 first rounders, so I'm not getting cute with this one. I'm taking Cole Perfetti, who I think should go 4. So Perfetti, and I'm just, I don't know that he stays at center. And with Jack Hughes and Nico Hischier, I don't really care. He can move to wing all he wants. I don't have to worry about pace. I don't have to worry about any of that. This Cole Perfetti, this is an easy pick for me. This is just drop him in there and let him go to work.
I am curious now, as at 8 you pick again with Buffalo, AJ.
This one, way less sassy. I'm just going to take Jamie Drysdale and hope that he develops into the long-term partner for Rasmus Dahlin.
Jamie Drysdale to go over pick 6. You can get plus 135 on DraftKings right now. Yeah, might be a good deal. They don't even have Cole Perfetti on here. So they're not even willing to give us that option.
Haters.
Ooh, they have some matchups. I haven't even looked at some of these, but we gotta keep these things moving a little bit. Next up is myself with Minnesota at 9. Had Askarov fallen that far, I would have seriously considered it, but of course he did not. Minnesota needs mostly forward help. They've struggled severely on that side with, we'll call it some missteps in recent draft classes. I don't think they pass up on Rossi either. I think this one is pretty by the book. He's the best center left on the board. They have literally no real legitimate top 6 centers you could make the argument for right now. So easy one.
Yeah, and if from a Colorado perspective, if it falls like this is a disaster.
It's not good, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a disaster. If that's how this is gonna go. So I have 10. I spent all week not planning on using this pick, but Dario and I agreed to swap these based on the amount of time we spend watching
these teams,
the teams of our significant others. So I originally had Edmonton's pick at 14, and he had the Jets at 10, and we agreed to swap. So I guess this is me. They need defense like crazy here, right? Like they badly need defense, but there's just not a defenseman that I'm comfortable taking on this list. I think that given the fact that I think they're going to trade Laine, getting a goal scorer like Holtz or Quinn is really, really intriguing. But they need high-end centers. They need it badly. And that's why I'm going to take Hendrix Lapierre.
Going with the injured guy.
Yep, I'm going to, when the injuries were more of a neck problem than a concussion problem. And I think because of that, I'm buying in on the upside. I'm buying in on the dynamic talent. The only other guy that I like for this spot would have been Anton Lundell. I don't like his feet. I don't like his upside. I would rather roll the dice on Lapierre and try and get another high-octane offensive center to pair with all the really good goal-scoring wings that they have. So that's where I'm headed. I guess I don't know who actually has 11.
I do. I have 11 with Nashville, and
This is nice for them.
Is it? Because I'm about to do something really dumb.
Okay. It's a weird way to approach this. You're the GM of these guys. Why?
All right.
I can see David Boyle just getting on his conference call and be like, I just felt like doing something dumb today, guys.
So here's the thing. As much as it hurts me personally, especially because Alex Holtz is still on the board. But Nashville's system has literally no quality defense left in it. Absolutely none. And it is a little bit of a reach, but it's not that much of a reach for them to go out and get Caden Gooley here. I think, look, when you look at where they're sitting, when you look at the way this draft shapes up, I don't think it's that unreasonable to want a D in the early part. Not the top 10, it feels a little rough, but in the early part, before the teens, I think you can convince yourself to go out and do it. And realistically, Nashville has nothing. Yes, I guess they just had Dante Fabro graduate, but they have no, in my opinion, NHL caliber D in their system right now. So they need one, and that's how they're going to get it.
I think both of the WHL kids are pretty translatable.
Yeah, I think so.
Where it's like these guys may not be stars, but I feel like you're really likely to get an NHL player out of them. Question is just how good will he be?
Right, and I think this is what's going to happen in the draft. To be honest with you, I don't know if Goulet and Schneider are really top 15 guys. But, teams want centers and they want defensemen, and this happens every year. Guys go higher. And now I have Florida, and what do they need?
Defense.
They need defense.
And this is exactly how it happens in real life. The dominoes start to fall.
Yeah.
So do they take the best player on the board, which is Holtz, who should have been top 10? He's dropped all the way down, to 12. But they're in dire straits. They have tons of talent up front, and they need defense. So I'm going to take and it's picking them too high. I know what I'm doing, but Schneider is going to go to Florida right after Goulet, and he got 4 defensemen off the board already. Yeah,
I don't disagree. I have Carolina at 13, and I would have taken Schneider there if you didn't take him with Florida. They're another system that needs D, but since you took them, it makes my pick easy. That's for me. I think you could really have the conversation on if you like Jack Quinn more than Alex Holtz, but I like Holtz better, so I'm taking Holtz for Carolina. They kind of have a lot of riches when it comes to relatively young forwards, but hey, why not load up even more?
Well, I tell you, sitting here for Edmonton, this is
a tough pick for me.
Yeah, because Jack Quinn has fallen, and projecting Jack Quinn to play next to either Draisaitl or McDavid or just on the right side next to them is like, oh my gosh, right? The guy just scored 50 goals in the OHL.
Right. He's just a pure burner and just scores goals like crazy. And I thought that
such a good two-way player.
Right. And I thought that, before we did this, I thought that Seth Jarvis would be what they would be targeting right there. But with Jack Quinn on the board, I don't think you have any choice. He's the BPA. You got to take that right wing, and you got to take that talent. There's just, there's been other people that have projected he would be, like early top 10, like way up there, but that's the pick for Edmonton if he's there. If not, it would be Jarvis, but I think it's going to be Jack Quinn if he's there.
If it unfolds like this, I feel like, boy.
Sometimes the value is just the value.
Yeah, where you go in, like the fun part of this is that we all kind of go in with an idea. Hey, these are the guys that I like, and then things change. Picks start getting made. People start making decisions.
Available at 13, and you go
right. And it's not like, hey, it's not that I don't like Holtz in other spots. It's just you have higher needs, and it's crazy that we could be sitting here looking at something like this.
Yeah.
And it's funny because somebody could drop into this and be like, this would never happen. But then the actual draft starts and Moritz Seider goes 6th overall.
Yeah. And all of a sudden
everybody's like,
yeah.
Oh, well, this got weird.
Yeah. And I have back-to-back picks. I got Toronto now. And
Yes, you do.
Toronto's gone in on defense last few drafts, and their NHL level defense is questionable, but they're not going to. Yeah, they're not going to reach for Barron or Wallander at this point. So, I think they've picked Swedes. They're comfortable with their scouting staff out there. They're going to take Anton Lundell if he's there, I believe. It's not super exciting. I don't think they'll go for a Holloway. I think they would go for the BPA with Lundell right there.
Yeah, and with their need, this is actually a great fit because they just don't need a guy to come in and
as a 3C and be fine with it.
Straight up, they don't need a guy to blow the doors off of anything offensively. They can drop him in behind Matthews and Tavares, and just be like, "Hey, you're our Jordan Stahl. You're the shutdown guy. This is what you're going to do." And Lundell can do that quickly to the point where that guy might make that team right away. Like these last two picks are actually unbelievably good fits for these two franchises.
Yeah, hard to argue.
Yeah, that's it'd be interesting if it fell this way.
Yeah, well, I was fully ready to take Rodion Amirov with my pick at 16 with Montreal, but
don't have to
because of how this has played out. I'm taking Seth Jarvis. I don't think I'm not worried about him, playing in the middle of the ice. And to be honest with you, I think that with Montreal, I think that with Suzuki and Kotkaniemi, they're okay down the middle. If Ryan Poehling ever becomes anything, then that's great. They're really good down the middle. But now, you put Seth Jarvis next to a Suzuki, I'm in. I mean, I think that would be an awful lot of fun. And my only real concern is that Montreal building team midget again. They've got back-to-back years. You go Cole Caulfield and Seth Jarvis. Like, these guys better hit. You're banking on talent. Yeah. You're banking on a lot of goal scoring and some great feet and a lot of different attributes here. But they come in a 5'7" and a 5'10" package. Like, you're taking chances here. So my only concern,
I bet you they'd be tempted with Holloway there too.
I think if they wanted to play it safe, and I was thinking, with him around, playing it nice and safe. If they will just bank on the attributes, don't worry about the upside. Holloway is definitely a guy that I would have considered there, but I wanted the talent, I wanted the upside, and with Jarvis and Amirov both still on the board, I love the upside too much. Seduced by potential.
Would you consider this mock draft a little drunk, AJ?
I mean, I think what I like about it is that it has been bold.
It's been bold.
I don't know that we're in drunk territory, but it's been bold.
Well, if you're not in drunk territory, you can get there with some Breckenridge Brewery, the official beer of DNVR, which you can get from the farmhouse down in Littleton, straight from the source. You can even get it picked up roadside, although they do have the farmhouse open as well for dine-in, if that's your thing. Use code DNVR when you get your roadside pickup to save $5 when you call 303-803-1380, and you can see down at the bottom of the screen there. Use the Breck beer locator to find it at a local liquor store near you. Of course, we also have WGT Golf, DNVR's gaming sponsor. We now have just shy of 200 members in DNVR 3, our third clubhouse. So get in before that one fills up. You can go to dnvrgolf.com to download, search for DNVR 3 to join the clubhouse. We have tournaments every single weekend. In fact, AJ, I think we got to get one up here pretty soon for this week. But
tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. No big deal.
Oh, it is Friday. Today. We will get one up today.
It is Free Skate Friday. Indeed. That's where we're at.
Oof.
Yeah, it's a total blast. We had a big tournament the other weekend where people won cash prizes for the first time. So not going to be doing that every weekend, but I'm sure it'll come back around. So if you want to get your opportunity to win something from us, be sure to sign up and become part of the clubhouse. All right. Period 2 of Free Skate Friday, going through the mock draft. We're sitting on Chicago at 17, which is Dario's pick here.
So if those 4 defensemen are gone, this is where, again, Chicago could reach for a defenseman. There's way too much talent on the board for them to take Barron, in my opinion, right here. I don't think they're that. I don't think they're that foolish to reach that hard because they want a position player. But they should have taken Byron last year, and they didn't. That their defense is really kind of in a bad shape. But here, just look at that board. There's nothing but forwards for as far as you can see.
Yeah.
And they got a big centerman last draft, really good player. I love him. Yeah. So, I don't think they have any problem with taking Mercer and taking the top winger that's left.
Not a lot gets said about.
He's been quiet.
Yeah, like it's somebody's gonna take him, and there will be no hype about it, and it'll just be like, who is this guy? Why are people not excited about him? And it's just gonna be because he is who he is. Like it's just not a sexy package. He's a really good two-way wing who plays ultra hard and has a serious edge to his game and has high hockey IQ. And when you watch it, it's like, look, this isn't flashy. This isn't a super sexy game. It's just very effective, very translatable. You put this guy next to Kirby Doc, and they're starting to build a problem.
Except for their defense. I don't know what they're going to do about that. They'll have to get it later and hope they get the right guy.
Between DeBrincat and Kubalik and now Doc and now with this pick Mercer, it's like, geez, these guys are going to transition out of Kane and Taves, and they're not going to feel it.
Yeah.
Why are you doing this to us? I have no arguments with Mercer there. I think you put it pretty well, AJ. He's a pick that some team is going to end up with him, and at the end of the day, they're going to be happy with him.
Yeah. Well,
back to AJ in New Jersey again here. Yeah.
Yeah, back to me. There's some choices here. Really, there's a couple of guys that I really like with this. But because I've got 3 first rounders, again, I can kind of do what I want. I don't have to worry about positions so much.
Exactly.
But at the same time, like this is all, with Perfetti, I think he'll probably end up on the right side. I've got the centers down the middle and Heischer and Hughes. This is where I'm just going to take Amirov, and I'm just going to add him to the coffers and make this just keep going.
New Jersey doesn't have any history with Russians, no problems. You don't think the Kovalchuk thing's gonna play any role, or
we'll see. The fact that he's he gets to play in the KHL, I think there hasn't been anything about him being a tough sign, so I'm just not going to worry about it too much. There's only a couple of franchises that I would really, really, really be iffy with if I was picking for them in their history with Russians, and I don't know that New Jersey's one of them.
Calgary is.
So I'm not going to worry about that. The other guy that I really, really considered with this was Connor Zary, because I don't know. Again, this is kind of like with Lundell in Toronto. I don't have to worry about the upside there. If he doesn't hit that maximum ceiling, I'm okay with that, and I get a really good, hardworking player that's going to contribute all up and down the ice. And if that guy ends up moving to a wing, I'm cool with that too. But I like Amirov's upside. That's really just what it was. Again, buying in on potential.
that guy just dances on the ice. He doesn't have to think about skating at all. His lateral movement's unreal. He's got a lot of potential.
So I have Calgary at 19. And I'm glad you took Amarov because I would have not taken him at all with Calgary. Had zero interest in the guy from Calgary's side. They basically just don't. I don't know if they've ever drafted a Russian in the first round before. So definitely wasn't going to happen. But you do leave me with the question of who to take. Because Calgary loves to take kids out of the Canadian hockey leagues. They do it almost every single year with their first. I don't think Dylan Holloway is the way to go here, but
local kid.
Yeah, you could go local for sure. You could. I'm pretty torn here because I do really like Zary, but I think I am going to go with Perreault here.
Interesting.
I know.
Okay.
It's a little bit. Okay, it's probably a lot of bit high risk, but you're looking at a Calgary team who has underperformed in the last couple of years. They went out and did the stupid things to go out and get guys like Milan Lucic. And I think they want to take a swing on talent this year, which is what you're doing if you're going and getting Jacob Perreault. You have to have faith in his abilities and that you can get it out of him consistently.
They're kind of a franchise that needs to do something like that too. Like they're in this
literally
weird,
the team named after the Calgary zone. So
right.
Yeah,
they're stuck as like a low end playoff team right now.
Yep.
They need to take a swing, but man, there's some of his film that looks just so bad.
It does. When he decides that he doesn't want to play, it's awful. But when he turns on his speed and his ability, it will wow you.
Just a quick intermission here. You mentioned you don't know if Calgary's ever taken a Russian in the first round. Oleg Saprikin in 1999.
Okay, so this century they haven't taken a Russian in the first round.
There's a Hall of Famer.
Just doing some research for you.
Whoa. That is...
Today I don't take Russians. So Perreault. Yeah, I mean his offense is just incredible, but man, some of the stuff away from the puck is just. Yeah, I would have concerns for sure.
Yeah, and those are the concerns that make me uncomfortable when we talk about him at 25 for Colorado. Is like I love the goal scoring, the shooting is legit. They've needed a guy like that for a long time that has high end goal scoring ability, but
so here, I guess
the effort is serious question.
It's a real question. I'm not a huge believer in Dylan Holloway's upside.
I'm not a believer at all in Dylan Holloway's upside. I can tell you I have no plans on taking him anytime soon.
I will tell you with the number 21 pick, Columbus is definitely going to take Dylan Holloway. That's my pick. It's Columbus. There's no question in my mind at all that they're going to take Dylan Holloway if he's there.
Well, AJ's got to pick again.
So Dylan Holloway is just a beast of a skater, finishes every check. You hope he turns into Tom Wilson if you're lucky. But as so far, it appears he has hands of stone because he's not scoring. But I think he set all kinds of crazy records in the AJHL, which is one of the lowest junior leagues prior to he played with Wisconsin. Is that where he went?
Yeah.
Yep.
Under Granado. So
there's a really talented Wisconsin team that wildly underachieved, which a Granado team underachieving with talent. Who knew?
Shocker, right? Korean Solani. Who knew?
Yeah. Who knew?
Yeah. So Holloway is a huge question mark as far as the offense, but there's no question the guy could skate and he could finish a check and play a two-way game.
So
Great.
we've
We
established
know who 21 is.
21, but I am curious if AJ does the thing and reaches for a D here with New Jersey.
Yep.
All right.
I've decided with my third first round pick, I'm taking Justin Barron. His medicals came back clean. I'm taking the chance on him. I'm rolling the dice on the upside of the guy. You know, he's got great size. He's right-handed. He's a really good skater, very mobile. He fits very, very nicely into the modern day defenseman mold. The big thing was the blood clot problem, and he just had surgery. And this morning, Alan Heppel on our conference call, and Alan Heppel, I asked about it, and he said that Justin Barron's medical rechecks came back last night, and they were cleared, and that he should be good to go moving forward, and that hopefully the blood clotting issue that he's been having problems with for a while now are cleared moving forward. So Barron there, and again, with 3 first rounders, you can afford to take a little bit of a chance and reach on a guy that you really like. I really like Barron, and this is where I'm going. 3 first rounders. It's a luxury for a reason.
Yeah, no, I like Barron as a player quite a bit, but if he fell to Colorado, I don't think there's any way that they would ever take him.
You don't think so?
Not with blood clot issues and altitude.
I tell you.
You know, I think that would be because, you know, even our development in, you know, with the Eagles, the guy would always be at altitude. I don't know how comfortable his camp would be with that. And it would be a bit of a risk for a first rounder. Although once you get past 20, that's one thing us Avalanche fans aren't used to is lately anyway. And this is good news, is we're not used to everybody
holes in their game.
Yeah, everybody has a hole. Everyone has a problem when you're below 20 in the NHL draft. We're not talking Mikko Rantanen anymore. These just aren't that caliber of player, and you have to, you know, if NHL players are 6-tool players, these guys have 4 or 5 of the tools, and then they have question marks on some of the other things.
So we're 20 picks in, really 21 because we knew who Dario's taking at 21.
Make a terrible
GM.
GM.
For some of our later arrivals, could we get a recap? Could you scroll on up for us? We can get a little bit of a recap of how this is unfolding
Show the
so far.
spice at the top of this.
Yeah, right. How some of this got, because right now where we are, there aren't too many like.
By the time you get to 20, it's leveled out quite a bit.
Yeah. The teams in the teens were the ones who benefited the most from us being the drafters today.
Hard to argue there when you see Alex Holtz going 13.
Yeah. Jeez.
Boy. Yeah, Quinn at 14 too. Yep.
Those were the 2 where I was like, ugh.
Oh boy.
Somebody's gonna look at this and be like, these guys are idiots.
You say that, but
look at last year's draft.
Watch how it goes.
Yeah.
Like watch the other Suzuki brother drop to like 28 or something again, and you're just like, what?
Watch Krebs fall past 16.
All the way to 17.
Yeah. Nuts.
So dumb. That's forever gonna.
It's gonna bother you. Although
it's gonna tug at me just because I loved him so much, but like with Newhook, like we spent so much time on Newhook last year that I loved him too. I was like, they can pick a guy that I love, and I'm always gonna think about the other guy. And I'm just glad they picked one of those dudes and weren't like Thomas Harley. So anyway, we're all the way back to the Rangers for their second first rounder, which you know, I kind of forgot that Rudo had the Rangers just because.
Yeah,
I didn't even really no time on the first pick. So you're back.
Yeah, I don't think they overthink this pick too much. They have decent prospect pools on both sides. I think they just step up and take the BPA in Lucas Reichel here. He's a versatile forward, a guy that you're hoping talent-wise is not that far away from the NHL, already playing in a pro league. He's someone that they can drop in and be offensive able player, likely in like a third line role relatively quickly for them. If you get more out of him, you get more out of him, but it just helps round out a forward core that's going to be carried for the next couple of years by Zibanejad. They have Chris Kreider. They have Capo Caco, hopefully developing into more than they saw out of him this year. So
and they have Lafreniere, so you're going to take another wing?
Sure, why not? I don't think they need to strive for another center here. Like I said, they have Zibanejad as a true number one.
Yeah.
You just want Reichel is all I'm hearing right now.
Well, I'm not Colorado's GM, so I won't get him anyway.
That's how. Who's got 23 now? Hang on. Unless you guys have a legit argument. 23 is Dario with Philadelphia.
That's me.
Okay.
I'm up.
You're up.
Yeah.
It's so hard to get a read on Philly. I read up on them. I don't know. This is a mystery to me. And because it's a mystery, I don't know that they really need defense or they need offense. I think that they might need some snipers and goal scorers. So a little part of me says if they don't go straight chalk and they go off the board a little bit, they might go after a Forster kind of guy. But I don't know that. For me here, they're probably their best bet is to go after a Zeri or a Bork, and on those two, I think Bork is the better player. So I think they take Bork.
Wow.
Yeah.
I do not think Bork is the better player. I'll tell you that.
I know he's a smaller player, but I think he's a little more dynamic than Zari for me. I like Zari. I hope he keeps falling, but
I don't think he's getting past AJ.
Yeah. I tell you, I'm torn here at 24. I didn't think the whole 24-25 thing was going to matter, but
it's going to matter.
It might, because there's two guys that I really like as fits here. But Connor Zary, I think, I really, really contemplated with the third New Jersey pick. And if I just didn't want to go three forwards. I wanted a defenseman for Jersey.
Yep.
So I had to reach there. Otherwise, Zary would have been a pick easily. For Washington, they kind of just need to start replenishing everything.
Yeah.
They've taken some guys in the first round. Lucas Johansson hasn't worked out. Alexeyev it's still early to see how he does. But I'm just not. I'm not comfortable taking any of the D here. I don't really like Wallander's fit. He doesn't really strike me as a very Caps-ish type of fit. Really, it's Zary and Gunler, and because Gunler is the big boomer bust type of guy. Ovi's getting a little bit older. Oshie's starting to age out. Backstrom, even Kuznetsov, these guys are all getting into the 30s. They're going to need to start replenishing some of this talent. Verana is great. He just had the big breakout, but giving up on Burakovsky, TY. But I think I've just got to just straight up not get cute with this and just take the guy that I think is the best player, and that's Connor Zary.
Yep. I think that's the correct pick.
I think that's just such a steal for them. He's such a good all-around player that
he is. He's really good. I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time here in number 25 with Colorado, but
yeah.
That I think, with all the craziness in the top of the draft that we mocked, this is really the group we're talking about. It's going to be the Zari, the Bork, hopefully Reichel, JJ Peterka, Gunler
and Forster both. Wallander. Yeah.
I think we've given the Avs a pretty fair shake here in the guys that have come off the board, and there's a lot to like at 25 here.
Now, if Zari was there for the Avalanche, that would have been the guy I would have taken of all these people that are left right now. There is an argument to be made for the Avalanche that they really need to replenish their defense because everyone's graduating. You could think that, oh, they have such a young, great defense in the NHL, but I know you guys have talked about this ad nauseum. Anyone who listens to this podcast know that there's a philosophy that they need to replenish that whole defensive system. But Wallander gives me, man, at times he looks like magic. He's so good going forward. But his decision making, when it comes to defensemen, IQ plays a huge role. If Zadorov had the IQ of a guy like Eric Johnson, he would just be, exponentially a better player in a lot of ways. And when it comes to IQ questions and decision making questions with defensemen, I am not comfortable at all taking that guy in the first round. So Wallander to me is a clear second round type of player. And if I'm the Avalanche, I don't take him at this spot. I hope they, if they really want to take a chance with the Wallander, I hope they trade back. And I wouldn't be too upset if they did.
Any deeper here, we do need to acknowledge Strava Craft Coffee here, the CBD infused coffee that has really changed lives. And it's National Coffee Day, or at least it was a couple of days ago, but you can get a deal all week long here where Strava Craft is offering 30% off coupon for DNVR listeners this week through the end of the weekend. So be sure to jump on it while you still can. If you haven't tried it, now is the time. You can get great deals. You can even go down to the DNVR bar and try it there. For the weekend, use code DNVR30, not 20, if you want to get that 30% off for this special deal. And then, of course, the DNVR 21 will continue for you after that. And you can subscribe to the service going forward where you get 20% off every single week that way. So jump on and give it a try. Now the CBD has been known to help with anxiety, migraines, IBS, many other things as well. All right. I didn't want to interrupt too much. I will say, I don't know if I fully agree with you on Wallander, but it's a little bit tricky because I think he has good IQ in the offensive zone. I think he understands how to make effective passes to find his teammates there. But I will agree with you in the defensive zone, the decision-making is questionable. So
yeah, this is a personal bias when it comes to defensemen. I love skaters. I'm like AJ there. I mean, a guy can skate. My eyes get big. I get heart emojis in my irises. But when it comes to defensemen, what they do away from the puck is so important, and it can so drastically affect how effective they are in the pro game that if there's any question with the first rounder on that front, that area of their game, it just gives me real pause. So for me, where the Avalanche are here now, I think they take a forward. There's a lot of talent there. I have a real problem also. I know not everyone agrees with this, but I have a real problem with two players that are in this range. Those two players would be Ridley Craig and Tyson Foerster. Craig, I don't think deserves to be a first-round pick with his talent level and his potential. I know. He's a try-hard. He'll take a hit and he'll get back up. He's like a Calvert, and if you can get a Calvert, sometimes that's worth a first-round pick if you can get a little bit of goal scoring and contribution there. But to me, that's not the guy I want. Forrester, I got real reservations about his skating. The way he stands up, the way it just looks hard for him. You know how some guys don't look like they have to think about their skating? Forster has to think about what he's doing. And I always give you guys, or I've given this analogy to AJ, it's like the Tim Tebow effect, Tim Tebow can look in camp, he changed his throwing motion, he looks awesome, and then he gets into a game situation, and all his mechanics go right back to where his instincts are. And I feel that's true with skaters at this age, and this age of development. I don't believe skaters can appreciably improve once they get to 17, 18. They are what they are. They can make small improvements, but I don't think they make giant steps. No matter how many power skating lessons they take, they are to a large degree of what they're going to be. So for me, right here, you're talking Gunler, you're talking Jason Peterka. And I like Gunler. I don't like his inconsistencies, but I love Peterka. I think he might actually be a better player than Reichel. And if Reichel was here, I would definitely consider him. I think the DEL and the Germans are doing something super special, kind of like when Laine and Rantanen and Aho and all these guys came out of the Finland program. They did something. They changed something with their development programs and their youth leagues over there in Germany, because Peterka is my guy. That is who I'm taking if I'm the Avalanche. His performance at the World Junior Championship was exemplary. And what I love about his game is what he does away from the puck when he doesn't have it. The guy finds open ice, and all three Germans in the first round do this. They don't stop thinking. They don't puck watch when the puck is off their stick. They are looking for soft parts of the ice, and they are thinking the game. And then when you watch some of the skill level of these three Germans and what they're doing with rolling their wrists, the saucer passes, the attention to detail in the game, they're so developed. I am so impressed with what all three of these kids can do. Their skating, the skating for Peterka is his north-south skating speed and his burst is fantastic. The criticisms I would have about his game would be his mobility east to west, and that probably has a lot to do with why he's a winger. But I love where he shoots from. He has a higher high danger shooting percentage than even Stützle in the German leagues. He is, I think he is a fantastic player, and I think he could be even better than Reichel, in my opinion. And that's who I take that with the Avalanche right here.
Boy, I like Peterka a lot too, and I'm perfectly comfortable with the pick. I'm not as sold on his skating as you are. I think it's good enough, but I don't know if it's going to be an asset to him at the next level. That's one of the few reservations I have on him, though. Like you said, a very, very polished. I think he plays a relatively simple game. He understands that with his skating, you alluded to his lateral skating, he's not a guy that's going to walk around dudes that often. So he understands he needs to find the soft spots, and that's how he's going to get to produce his points. I agree. I think his shot is significantly better than Reichel's, especially from distance. He's stronger on the puck than Reichel as well. So
he's also a lot more physically mature than Reichel.
That is true.
They're right about the same height. He's 20 pounds heavier. So Peterka has way more of a mature body today than Reichel does, and that's one of the reasons why with Reichel I think you're probably waiting maybe 2 or 3 years on him, and with Peterka it could be 1 year in the DEL, a year in the AHL, and as a top call-up. Like, it could be that quick for him.
Given Peterka's physical maturity, is there any consideration to bringing him to the AHL immediately?
Not this year.
No, but I heard that he was selected by the London Knights, so there's a possibility once they open things up in the OHL that he could actually come over and play on North American ice.
I'd prefer that.
Yeah, so I definitely, if I'm the Avalanche and I select him, I want to get him over on the smaller ice surfaces. I don't want him to keep playing games in the DL if I can help it, or maybe even, if he can. I don't even know how those European leagues work that way. I don't know if he can go to the SHL or he can go to a higher tier league, but I definitely would want to up his game and preferably put him on smaller ice.
Yeah. Getting him in North American rinks would be ideal, and getting him to come over and play a year in the CHL would be fine, because then you could still promote him to the AHL the next year because he's European.
Yeah, that's the benefit of a Euro.
It would have to be a hefty signing bonus, I would think, though, to get him out of a pro league.
Maybe. I mean, maybe he wants to come over and do that,
That's true.
Especially an organization like London. Like, it's like that's one of the CHL programs that you come across to play in.
They go get
different.
guys and turn them into NHLers. That's for sure.
Right.
That's a full rank every night if we can have people at ranks.
Yeah. Like if Chicoutimi is the one taking him, you're probably not getting him to come across.
Yeah.
So Peterka at 25.
Yeah, I love him. I think he if he's there, I'm super happy as an Avalanche fan, and yeah, I think he's got tons of potential.
I'm spot on with you, Dario. I think
Yeah, I have no issues with this.
I like Wallander a little bit more. It would hurt me a little bit to see Wallander not get taken by the Avs, but no interest in Greg at all. Forrester, I'm
Yeah.
not super high on. I think you put it well. I would be maybe more hyped if they took Gunler, but there is the very big risk with him that it doesn't work as well.
Yeah, I think for me, Paterka, Goodler, and Brisson were the three guys that I would say these are the guys that I would be hyped on. There are a handful of others, like if they took a Forster, if they took a Wallander, I'd be fine.
Outside of Greg, I think I could talk myself into any of the guys in this range.
Yeah, please don't take Greg.
Yeah, I mean he's a fine player, but I don't feel him there at 25.
Yeah. Just a theoretical, real quick. We've talked about them trading down, and I've talked a lot about them trading down to 28 with Ottawa because Ottawa has 4 second-round picks. If they're in this position, and this is what the board looks like, I'm even more in favor of it.
Yep.
Because you're still going to get one of these guys if you can get down to 28 and you get that second-round pick. That would be ideal.
You're at worst, you're getting, I guess, whoever you like worse out of Brisson and Wallander.
Maybe you end up with Paterka anyway.
Right. You could still get Paterka there. You get one of these dudes.
Yeah.
And
one of Paterka, Gunler, Forster, Brisson would be there.
Yep.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
If this is what the board looked like.
And I looked up the history of trading, down out of the first round, and it's not very common in the first 15 picks, but boy, it was a lot more common in the last 15 than I thought it was. It's happened quite a bit in recent history, so it's not beyond question that the Avalanche do trade down if they can pull it off.
Would really screw up our draft show if they dropped to 32 with Detroit.
Oh, that would be
it would
awful.
Really screw us up.
Stay in the first, please.
Yeah, like if you're going to trade down, this is why I always say Ottawa at 28 because I think it's a realistic target, and it's like okay, and that's where the 24-25 thing probably hurt them the most was.
Yeah,
Ottawa jumping up from 28 to 25.
Value.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
harder to talk them into it.
You could maybe talk with San Jose. Maybe I don't know.
Yeah, San Jose was the other one because they also pick at the top of the second round, and they have an extra. They have Colorado's second rounder, so
yeah. You're moving all the way back to 31. There is the thing.
I'd be fine with that too. Move back to 31, and then you add Colorado's original second round pick. I'm good. I would also be good with that, and then we're having the same conversation about whichever of these guys are left over. Which Dario, I think you have the Blues.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the dog butt St. Louis Blues. Am I bitter? A little bit.
Pick somebody bad.
Well, I've heard that they really like Ryan O'Rourke, which is kind of down the field as far as defenseman. But that's reaching a bit, and I'm not sure that St. Louis is going to be willing to do something like that.
Look at all those D Bob has ranked higher than O'Rourke.
Yeah, right.
I know. Yeah. Jake Neighbor seems like such a St. Louis type of player.
Wow.
I wouldn't take that if I were them. I would go after a Gunler, but or even a Brisson. Boy, but Craig could be their kind of guy too. I was kind of targeting a defenseman here, and I think that Petro being, going out to market, I don't think they're going to be able to re-sign him. I think they might get a little gun shy and scared, and I think they might take Wielander anyway. So that'll be my pick for him. I think they're going to take the defenseman.
The Wallander, that hurts me. Watching Wallander go 26 hurts me.
Especially knowing St. Louis was the team that took your guy last year
too. I know.
I mean, do you guys disagree with that? Do you think they might be a little bit?
No, I don't disagree at all. It just hurts me.
Shell shocked from Petro moving on, and I mean that's not how you should think about drafts because that's a guy that's 3-4 years out.
Yeah, I mean I'm at 26. It's kind of a whatever to me.
I mean, the Blues are in a weird place defensively anyway. Outside of Parayko, their starting lineup, I guess Vince Dunn as well, but outside of those two, their lineup is kind of just a hodgepodge of dudes that are waiting to get spots taken away from them. So we'll see. Yeah, they have Prunovich coming, but I think does make some sense for them beyond just Petro leaving.
Yeah, I mean, their system is barren, dude.
Yep.
And like Perunovic is the last bastion of prospects for them.
Pretty much.
And he just turned pro, so it's like, this is it. You guys need to replenish that whole thing.
Gonna do
they've had some
that, huh?
They low key have had some bad drafts. Some real bad drafts.
Turning Dominic Bach into Justin Falk.
Yeah, that was bad.
Like, I think that's good work by them, but then Justin Falk's contract being a reason that they may lose Pietrangelo, that's a set of unforeseen circumstances that really caused that, but it's what happens when you play with fire when you just assume the cap is always going to go up.
That's true.
When they announced that Falk contract, everyone was like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. Well, I mean, like he hasn't been a good even strength player for most of his career. He's a really good power play guy. And when you had Pietrangelo and Parayko, and then when Vince Dunn showed up, it was like, why do you need this specialist?
Yep.
But St. Louis always wants to be involved in the big stuff, and it finally looks like it's going to cost them. So anyway. Anaheim, another pick. Rudo, I believe, way back at the beginning, you had them.
I think this is a slam dunk Gunler pick for them. They already got their D early in the draft. They're not worried about that problem. Gunler's a super high end opportunity guy for them. They've never shied away from taking the Swedes. It's not hard, and this is an organization that develops kids very, very well.
And with some of their picks in recent years, like a Comtois, they don't shy away from attitude issues.
Yep, exactly.
So that makes a lot of sense.
Yep. So I have Ottawa for the third pick in the first round. You know, they took Stützle and they took the goaltender. I think here they try to get a little. There's only one wing there that. He's a two-way guy. Brisson, to me, this is just bias. I like Brisson better than anybody that's left on this board, and that's the guy I'm going to take. I like his goal scoring. That's who I take.
His one-timer is so nasty.
I don't know if he'll be a Brett Hull kind of guy, but where he just finds soft ice and just releases it. But he does have a release. That guy has a nasty release.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't think he stays in the middle of the ice, but
I don't think he does.
Right? No, not with Stützle picked either. I think it's you're gonna. That's the thing with a lot of these centers that are later in the draft. They're centers because they're the best player on their team, and coaches always want most of their best players in the middle of the ice, even if they aren't true centers. So. Yeah, I don't think he stays at center.
It's the same thing as like in the NFL draft where, a 300-pound defensive lineman gets drafted and we're rolling tape of him returning kicks in high school. It's like they're the best athlete on their team.
Plays both sides, running back.
It's the same kind of thing in hockey with the guys up the middle. So many of those guys are going to move.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's I have Vegas.
You sure do.
They love the WHL for obvious reasons. They love the WHL. So naturally, I'm going to ignore it completely, and I'm just going to take the guy that I think is the best left on the board, and I'm going to go with Marat Kuznetsov. And I'm going to take the high end offensive Russian talent, and they need a spark somewhere. He's not very big, but holy smokes, is he super duper skilled. And he is a lot of fun to watch, and I think he's getting way underrated. And he is a dude that I would say low-key keep an eye on at 25 because the Avs aren't afraid of Russians, and they love skill like this kid has.
Not a guy we've talked about a ton. I wonder about him in the MHL because he has all the time in the world in that league to do whatever he wants.
Kind of a Murov like where you watch him and it's like this guy is so much better than all these other dudes.
Yep. but we were talking about Matt Calvert earlier. This guy plays like Matt Calvert a little bit. You're betting on more skill with him, but
Way
in
more.
a league full of Russian kids who don't chase down pucks hard, he's one of the few that is doing it every single time down the ice.
Well, it's kind of like when we saw Podkolzin last year get drafted, where you're like, he doesn't fit like the Russian archetype of your one-way kind of, Amirov fits way more of that with your electric offensive player who's not a super high-effort guy. Kuznetsov's not like that. He doesn't mess around. He's 200 feet all day, all game long.
See puck, get puck kind of style.
Gets hard after it.
On top of it,
Yeah, he's a guy whose game I low key love. So this is my excuse, and I love the way Vegas drafts. I love the way they draft. They draft the way I would draft. So this is why when I get to be their GM, I get to take who I want.
That's a fact. And this is the thing with the Germans and with all these European players. They don't have a ton of eyes on them. They don't have a lot of viewings because scouts couldn't go over there with COVID. And everything's on tape, and there's not a lot of tape either. So there could be a guy like him that just is a lot better than he's being rated because people just haven't seen him enough. And scouts are very uncomfortable with rating guys that they haven't seen enough. And so this could be a year where you take a guy like that, and he's a lot better than most people thought.
True. I like Kuznetsov, and I think he's a guy I watch on draft night.
Yep, I'm with you on that.
I don't know who has Dallas. Rudo, do you have Dallas?
I do have Dallas. Yeah.
Pick somebody terrible.
I'm not in. I could pick Clevin right there, but I'm not going to do that. As much as I'd like to, I don't think. I guess I could give him Greg. I don't think they go D. They picked Harley last year. They got Heiskanen a couple of years ago. They have Esa Lindell locked up forever. I don't think they're really looking on the D side, and they're a hockey team whose offense was borderline disastrous in the regular season. So I think they can use some help. They do have Ty Dellandrea in their system, which is a nice piece, but other than that, there's not a ton out there. And I went back and forth here. I don't want to give him Greg. If I'm the GM, I'm not giving him Greg. I thought about giving them Tyson Forrester, but I think they really are going to like Jake Neighbors instead. A hardworking guy, maybe not the offensive upside, but as we're starting to see Jamie Benn decline in his ability to provide a little bit of edge for them, Neighbors obviously not as big, but he can play a pretty heavy game when he wants to. So I'm going with Neighbors for them. I think he makes the most sense. They're a team that likes to draft out of Canadian leagues as well. So
I hate that pick for them. Jake Neighbors could be hard to play against.
Yeah.
Whether that's right up Dallas and San Jose's MO, but I think both of those teams, if the draft falls this way, they're going to get a lot of calls for people that want defensemen and they want to move up a little bit, because this is like starting right at the beginning of the second into the first is where a lot of defensemen start to pile up again. It'll be interesting on draft day.
Yeah, that as much as we want the Avs to stay in the first, if there are teams clamoring for D and you can get value, it might be hard to say no.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, so I've got the last pick.
Yep, finish it off with San Jose for us.
This one's tough, man. There are a number of guys that I really like here that are not on this board that we're looking at right here.
Foodie?
No, I'm not looking at. I'm not thinking about Foodie here. I think I'm San Jose's GM, and I have absolutely no downside to doing whatever I want.
Oh, here we go.
Poirier.
So I'm gonna take Luke Evangelista.
Wow.
What?
Who is a guy that I think is getting crazy mad love in the NHL and could sneak into that first round. And I love I love the two-way play and the creativity, and I think that he fills out a little bit more physically, and this is a guy that fits so much of what San Jose does well. This is exactly the kind of guy that they can draft and develop into a stud in a few years.
Okay.
All right.
Bam! Finish with a grenade.
Wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah, I don't want the Evangelista in the first if it's me personally, but if
I
you
don't like
believe
any
in
of
their
these other
system,
guys.
I hear you there. I'm not a huge fan of any of the guys that were kind of left over at forward there. At that point, honestly, I'm looking at someone like Grands even maybe, but
Yeah, I consider Grands, but really it was really him or Smolanek.
yeah, I just can't quite. I don't quite get it with Simulanik.
What don't you get?
I just
Like
don't.
the love?
Yeah, I don't get the love. I'm not
Okay.
the offensive upside. I just can't bring myself to buy it.
Okay.
Not convinced in the translation. Anyway,
So who in Bob's list did we leave off the first? Greg?
Greg
Yeah.
Forrester.
Yeah.
Forrester, yeah.
I can pull it up if you give me just 1 second.
I
There
think
was-
that's it.
I think we had one more maybe, but not many. It was pretty much most of the first guys went in the first.
Yeah, we only left a couple guys at the end.
So nothing.
Grands was on there.
Grands is 31, is it? Yeah. Nothing too crazy as far as people getting into the first round, but some interesting ordering top to bottom, to say the least.
Kind of shook out. That's kind of how the real draft ends up working anyway. But you know, the history for the Avalanche is they're rarely in the first round. Now, granted, they haven't picked this low since Jonas Johansson, which is a million years ago, but they typically don't try to reach on a guy.
Fun fact: Jonas Johansson played in the ECHL for the Carolina Stingrays under assistant coach Jared Bednar.
Yep.
That is a fun fact. I was going to say that doesn't sound like a fun fact coming up, but that is a fun fact.
Ooh,
I watched that kid at rookie camp, and I was convinced he was like the next, Joe Sakic. He's just so smooth, and man, that guy could not do anything when he got hit. It was
Are
like
we
the
gonna
Mike.
have rookie camp this year? Like, what are we gonna have a dev camp a week after the draft? Are we gonna get to meet the kids? Is there any of this shit's gonna happen? Like, can I just go to Canada and I don't miss anything?
I don't think you're going to miss a darn thing. I don't think you're going to be able to. Well, maybe media will go to camp, but that stuff's going to be closed down. I think if they're going to start in December, I don't see they're not going to let fans into. It'll be the first training camp I've missed since 1998.
I can't imagine they let fans in if they're doing it anytime soon. But I mean,
That's sad.
we don't even have a hard start date for next year, so we'll see. But I'm looking through actually, and the Avs really don't have a lot of successful picks in the 20s.
No.
They have Wolski and Parker, basically.
And Parker played 300 games.
Yeah. And then you can sort of count Denis, who had a 350 game career, but just not with the Avs.
I mean, this is where the Avalanche blew it in the 2000s. They had a fantastic team, as we all know, and they were perennials, and their drafting was horrible, just horrible. And then they paid for it from 2005 until, the recent era that we're experiencing. It was a solid 5 to 10 years of misery. And so while the Avs are in great position, they still need to get these low draft picks correct. It's super important for the future of the franchise that they can't just mail this stuff in. They can't take flyers and guys who don't work out. First round draft picks are just crucial for the health of hockey teams in the future.
Well, you look at St. Louis is a great example of this. We said that they'd had a couple of dry years, and when you get a little hyper competitive, you start trading them away. You start taking away, Pittsburgh, another example. If you can't develop, Pittsburgh at least develops the hell out of their mid-round guys. But with St. Louis, they don't have anybody that's young. It's like Robert Thomas. I guess if you really like Kyrou, it's really important that you get these right. It's really important that these guys turn into ELCs that you play in the NHL. That these guys, that when they're still cost effective, they're playing roles for your team, because you're going to have to pay your stars. And the Avs have now accumulated the stars to the point where, they're going to have to pay them. They're going to have to give them raises. They're going to have to constantly be worried about where the cap space is going to come from. And instead of spending $9 million on a fourth line, they're going to have to spend $3.5 million on a fourth line. And that comes through ELCs.
Yep, absolutely. The bill comes due. And that's why you hope that kids like Newhook and those can start taking some ELCs. And then when it comes to the Kadri decision in a few years, that they can plug in. But yeah, the end of this draft is important. Even if these guys aren't top six, even if it's, a Jake Neighbors, it's just a solid two-way player and he's a bona fide NHL player, that's an important pick for a franchise at that part of the draft.
Yeah, and all the way across, first round picks are the bread and butter of NHL teams. The St. Louis Blues had 8 first round picks on their team this year. The bubble is what the bubble happened, but the Blues or the Avs, one of those teams are going to win the Western Conference this year. Certainly at least the Central Division. So the reality is teams are made up of first round picks. And the Avs have a chance to extend their window of opportunity in this draft, even if it is a later round one. But
yeah, this guy that they drafted 25 will probably be the face of the wave after the next wave, because the next wave you're thinking these are Kaut, Bowers, Timmins, Byram, and Newhook. Those are the guys who are like the face of the next wave, right? This guy, whoever this guy is probably 2-3 years out. You're talking about the next wave after that.
Have to pay McKinnon. These are their young kids who they have to put on their roster, and can they get the job done for the Avs?
Yep, because McKinnon's making 14 plus a year.
Yep.
When Comfer's current contract expires and he's a UFA and he wants to get paid $4.5 million, you cut him loose because of whoever you draft at 25.
I agree with that. I don't care how much you love the guy. You gotta do what makes sense for the franchise. And then who knows what the cap's going to do here in the next 3 years.
Yep. I think that's about it. We've ran pretty long on today's show, but we got the full draft in for you. If you missed some of it, you can always watch it back over on YouTube. Please go over there and subscribe, like the videos. It's huge for us. And please, 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 please tune in on Tuesday. Dario will be there for the live draft show
at the bar.
At the bar, on the set. We're going hard for the draft. So
Monday's show, be a GM show.
Yep.
So your GM submissions, email them to me, aj@thednvr.com. And we will go through them on the show. And then Rudo and I, as we did last year, we will make our own, what we do at the draft, what we do in free agency, what we do in trade. Be a GM show on Monday.
All right,
Send all of your submissions into us. Get them in over the weekend. Give you a couple of days to think about it. I would prefer if you guys use Cap Friendly or Puckpedia's tools to create your rosters, and you do it that way. That way I don't have to read huge chunks of paragraphs trying to figure out what moves got made. I don't mind a little explanation, but please, be mindful that we are going to go through a lot of these. So get those in this weekend. Be a GM show on Monday.
There you go. You heard the man. We're out of here for the day. Dario, thank you for coming on and doing the mock draft with us.
Thanks for having me. Wear your leader hosen on Tuesday.
There you go. Let's go. NHL Draft, come get drunk with us at the bar. We're out of here. Thank you for listening to another episode of Free Skate Friday, however you consume the podcast. And I cannot wait. We will see y'all again on Monday.
Peace.